speak to you today. As I start speaking to you today, no matter what I say, Mike's not working. Got it. Sorry. Okay. My name is Jeffrey from Microsoft. I live in Istanbul. I cover the Middle East and Africa, doing what we call citizenship, which many companies refer to as corporate social responsibility. There's a difference, by the way. Corporate social responsibility sounds like you have an obligation. I'm responsible for doing something. I think Microsoft likes the term citizenship because, in essence, the feeling is that a company should simply always be thinking of doing good locally. Because if you do not do good locally, you will not have a social relation which you can maintain and run an effective business, because business really becomes a relationship. Personally, I'm someone who joined Microsoft after 15 years in the United Nations. I was a UN ambassador and then a director for different organizations. But I thought that IT was an interesting way of promoting social change and social development. And so I left my job in the UN, which is becoming very bureaucratic, and got back in the field, back on the ground, where my goal has been to try to ensure that IT solutions can be used to solve social problems at the national, at the local levels. Now let me start by saying, since I don't know much about your organizations, let me make it first clear that Microsoft, as its policy, will provide free software, all the software that Microsoft has, to any NGO, anywhere in the world, functionally. In this region, the responsibility for approving that comes to me. Some of you who are based here in Bahrain will be working directly with Rasha, who's in the back of the room. Rasha, raise your hand. Rasha would be your first point of contact. But the rules are very simple. For Microsoft to give free software to your organization, you need to be a registered NGO, whatever that means within the rules of your country. All right? It's not your rules, whether it's a charitable foundation, whatever the rules, whatever the structure you have. Number two, you simply have to be an organization which is not religious or not political. What does that mean? You can be a religious organization, but it cannot be an organization which is proselytizing, which is trying to convert. And I look at this I try to be very sensitive about what this might mean, and I rely on local staff to help me where I might be confused. And also that you're not a political organization, which means trying to promote a specific viewpoint, but you can be involved in social engagement, social discussion. So that's something that's important to know, because in essence, this conference, in many ways, is really about trying to help you do what you do better, right? That's what IT is supposed to do. Help you do what you do better. And I'm really happy because some of the members on this panel, they basically spend their lives trying to ensure this outcome. Now, I have a number of slides. I'm not going to worry about going through all of them. What I'm going to try to do is focus on what we're looking at as Microsoft. Microsoft citizenship is focused mainly these days on youth and unemployment, right? Why? Well, for me, I think it's very critical. Having gone through the Arab Spring experience with many of you, I live in Istanbul, I've been there 7 years. It's been the biggest challenge to our region, right? And the numbers are frightening, the numbers of people who need jobs. And whether that's in Egypt or whether it's in Tunisia, I remember being in Libya with the Minister of Education right after the fall of Gaddafi, talking to the minister, and he said, Jeffrey, you know what I need? He said, I have 200,000 youth under arms. I need scholarships to get them away from home for 3 to 4 years, and then let them come back. That would be the biggest help that you can get me with. 200,000 scholarships is a huge demand, but the fact of the matter is, we try to do whatever we can to support countries. In most countries, it involves local skilling, local training, local IT skill enhancement, because what we see is if you have IT skills, it's easier to get a job. Whether that's in government, whether that's in the private sector, or in the charitable world. IT skills are becoming critical for being able to place yourself in the future. So I'm going to skip through a lot of these things. USpark, just to know, USpark is the Microsoft citizenship brand. So if you see the term USpark, that is where Microsoft is focusing its attention and resources. But what you really need to know, if you're from Bahrain, you really need to know the name Rasha, because she is USpark to you, and her job is to be responsive to you. And my job is to help make that happen. Now, basically, when I think about the Middle East and I look at the challenges that we have, I mean, I've talked about the numbers, sometimes up to 25, 35, 40% unemployment amongst youth in the Middle East. Africa, of course, worse. You can think about the lack of internet penetration. I just learned that Saudi is one of the highest levels, over 80%. In Libya at that time, it was 6%. And this was an oil-rich country with 6% penetration. It varies across our different countries. Mauritania, obviously low. Morocco, not too bad. Egypt, decent. But it really varies. Now, this is the target that I set for myself. By the way, the targets that I set for myself, they seem quite big. I want to reach 7 million youth. I want to get 96,000 kids jobs. I want to have 30,000 women trained. What does that really mean for a company to say that? I can't do any of this without you. In essence, my job is to enable you to do this more effectively. So let's be clear, when a company makes a big promise, it needs to rely on your support. And let me turn that around for you. It means that you should be deciding and defining what that company is doing to help you. You're in the driver's seat. You take what you want, you don't take what you don't want, you tell them how to do it, you make sure that you are in control of your process. I personally think this is very important. Otherwise, actually, the company will not be successful in any case. We did what I call 4 big bets. 4 big bets in this region. I covered too many countries to do a complete array of different activities. 79 countries from Pakistan all the way down to South Africa, including the islands below, actually. So for us, we decided to focus on 4 things. One, which I think I want to talk the most about, is an employment platform. But also we did a special program for women empowerment, which is based on recognizing that when women are empowered with IT and with leadership skills, it sets them up to become very strong leaders in their society. We do that with youth and women mentoring. We also developed an entrepreneurship curricula in the region, for the region. So it was done with the help of local organizations, local NGOs, frankly, will help us to design it. I won't go into much detail here because I know my time is going to be limited. So let's talk a little bit about what YouthWorks is. YouthWorks actually is a platform where a youth anywhere can go online, find out what they're good at, get basic ideas, like there's different tests we have, and then actually we have 1,000 courses that we put online. They're all free. These are not Microsoft courses, although there are Microsoft courses. Probably 50 to 60 of the courses are Microsoft courses, but we get courses from everyone. I just was talking to some colleagues from Capgemini. Since I'm mentioning them, I'm going to make a public request to give me some material. They must have material. You guys must have training material. What we do is we talk to companies, and we ask them to give us materials that we can put online so that youth can access them for free, to help them learn about what might be future careers. The next step after that is actually speaking with people in the private sector. So for example, my friend from the telco industry, I would ask him, is it possible for youth in Bahrain or in Saudi to actually speak with some of your employees online, perhaps on Skype, or whatever would work? I'm not sure we have VoIP here. To be able to learn what the job is like. It's very informal, but if you think about it, if you have staff, there's nothing that's better than feeling like you just helped someone today, right? Pick up the phone, 30 minutes with the youth, give them ideas. It's a good feeling, and it makes staff actually quite happy. And the last thing is actually job placement. So what we do with the platform is we actually connect employers to youth and help them get their first jobs. I showed you, we also train entrepreneurship. I showed you my target numbers. I'm glad to say that we actually exceeded them already in our calendar year 15. I was trying to reach 7 million youth. We reached